And this is the part where we would have music, but we haven't figured out music yet. We're working on music.
Are we working on music? I didn't know we were working on music.
Oh, I really think we should have music.
Just can't be anything that anybody's, really made in their lifetime.
Thank you for letting me have my chair.
Don't worry about it.
Hey, my name is Blue.
I am Randy.
And we are doing a show called NZI.
NZI.
And I made a sign, NZI, and I had it set up, and somebody walked by and goes, "Why are you making a Nazi sign?" I'm not lying.
Oh, that's bad.
I know, and I went, "It's not. It stands for neutral zone infraction." And they go, "I don't know. It's like Nazi to me." I said, "There's no A." Doesn't matter. So I canned the sign. I didn't. We're gonna say.
Nobody. It's like it takes somebody else to look at something like that before you would notice that. Because
Okay.
I would have never noticed. I thought NZI was just nice.
I know
it
was too, but apparently the way
it's just a good thing that we were not neutral about zones infraction, because then it would be Nazi.
Yeah, there you go.
And then it would have looked really bad.
Really bad. And the thing is, the reason
I think it'd only be really bad if you dot the I with a swastika.
that would be bad. Well,
that would be
we're
bad.
not. No, but
We're not condoning any.
No, and I was concerned because we're already going to say things that could make the 2 or 3 people that watch this pissed, because it's we're going to
your wife and your kids probably.
Yeah, and we're going to insult people who are fans of Joe. People who like certain quarterbacks like Joe Montana are probably not going to be
mediocre.
Yes, and so we don't need added pressure. Is what I'm getting at. The reason we got the door behind us is because I was thinking that if anybody did happen to come in and bludgeon us because Randy talks about Joe Montana in a negative light, it would be on tape and we would have evidence.
What if they smashed the camera?
I was kind of hoping they weren't that.
They
are Joe Montana fans.
You know what? That's true. I'll give you that one. It's like a Joe Montana fan would not. And they would be a mediocre criminal.
They would probably.
So they would, probably leave fingerprints and.
I bet they wouldn't even take your pizza.
They probably would leave the door wide open as they're leaving, with bloody footprints and everything all over the place. And go, don't go in that room. Don't go in that.
Okay, so our shows are about a lot of things. We've got this is our second show, and it is about plays that could have changed history. Or legends.
Changed the legacies of certain players.
And to say, okay, first of all, Randy made some good or when we were talking about this, the play has to be at a time in the game when the other team had hardly any time to recoup from that play. That's why there are a lot of plays that we do not count. Jackie Smith, Dallas, caught the ball, dropped it, didn't count it because I believe it was third quarter and they had plenty of time to come back. We're not going to do baseball or any game or any sport that requires 7 games, because if you lost in a 7-game series, you deserve to lose.
You had ample opportunity to overcome a lot of things. There's very few Game 7 moments that are so epic.
That's true.
I mean, you can't really name them. There's very few.
You and I named a few, but we don't have time for that. I have an alarm set, and we're already going to go over on this show. I already know that. But, so I'm going to tell you straight up, we got Tom Brady in here 5 times. Very simple. But I'm not going to hit him right away. I was thinking, Buffalo Bills, Scott Norwood, the kick. The wide right, as they like to call it.
I wonder why they didn't call it the kick. At the time, they were so happy with calling things the fumble, the drive. Why wasn't that called the kick? I guess because it failed. I guess no, the fumble was a failure, too. So
twice.
Why wouldn't you call it the kick? I guess,
Well, and I will say that I don't know, and I just don't know everything. That's what I tell my kids. But I can Google it. My mom didn't have that luxury. But anyway, back to that kick. Hattie made that kick, a very makeable kick. The Bills do win the first Super Bowl. It was that close. It was a hell of a game. And I don't know if it would have, but it definitely would have changed the fact that these guys who went to 4 Super Bowls in a row, which has never been done, would have had at least 1 ring. And it might have had carryover for another. I don't know that part, but I do know they would have had the 1 at least. And that would have taken a lot of crap off of these guys, all of these guys. And I think in that sense.
But we've talked about this before. You look at Jim Kelly and you look at his legacy.
Yep.
He has never really given a hard time about losing 4 Super Bowls in a row. He's never given that hard time. But you look at a guy like Peyton Manning, who has won one of these things.
Yes.
They keep giving him this little jab of he's the best regular season quarterback to ever play. It's like the man has a Super Bowl ring. He has proven that he can take his team to the mountaintop, yet he is judged more harshly than a man who took his team to the mountain only to get pushed off of it 4 times in a row.
It's a disgruntled fan you're talking about.
Well, I don't like that there are certain people that are held to a higher standard. Dan Marino isn't even held to that low of a standard. He only went to 1 Super Bowl in his entire career, but people still look at him and consider him one of the best of all time. Why is it, it kind of bugs me. But if Jim Kelly gets the 1, here's the problem I have. Does Buffalo stay hungry? Do they try to do they have that hunger to get back there? Or now that the bullseye is on their back, because let's face it, they lost the Super Bowl. The bullseye's not there. You lost. So they kind of topple through the AFC again to get to that Super Bowl. Look at it this way with Denver this year. Denver's not looked at as a target. The Seattle Seahawks are the target.
As they should be.
As they should be. But you look at it that way, the Denver Broncos aren't really considered the target. A lot of people still consider anybody in the AFC as inferior. We're almost back to that, where we were.
And to answer your question, yes, I do think those Buffalo Bills would have, because they had too much talent and they had Hall of Famers.
But 4 years in a row, 4 straight years.
That shows me, if think about this, if you get your ass kicked 4 times, whatever, even in anything, fighting, MMA, whatever, you get beat to a pulp. Okay, 3 or 4 of those times, because they didn't really get beat to pulp in all of them. And you have the wherewithal to come back and go at it again. Yeah, I think you got what it takes to get it done, even after a success, and maybe even more so with those guys. I want to jump onto another one I have, and it's funny you mentioned it, and I haven't talked to you about it, but the fumble. It's funny you mentioned that, but I got to say that fumble happened in a time of that game where I think it ended any hope.
The Cleveland Browns had no chance. Well, and the fact of the matter is, the Broncos recovered it. We could run out time off the clock. So the fact of the matter is, they were 1 yard away from maybe going to their first Super Bowl.
And they had a decent team.
They had a decent team. They had a pretty good defense. Bernie Kosar and that offense, they had a good running game, good strong offensive line. They had some pretty decent wide receivers. They had a pretty good tight end in Ozzie Newsome. They were good teams. They would have, I'm sorry, but the AFC was inferior. They still would have gotten smoked, but they would have gotten that Super Bowl.
I don't think they would have been smoked, though.
I think they would have.
No.
Now, that would have been the Redskins Super Bowl, right?
That would have been, because we actually had the
So they might not, because I don't think they probably would have gotten destroyed by Timmy Smith.
Did Tony Lilly play for, would they have played? Would Tony Lilly
have played? Tony Lilly would not have joined the Cleveland Browns only be really
Tony
bad.
Lilly doesn't join the Cleveland Browns, there's a really good shot they got a chance of winning that game. And even if Tony Lilly does come through that door, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Saying that.
He can't catch anybody.
Yeah, I'll just run like Timmy Smith. It'll be great. Catch me if you can.
And he won't, because every time Timmy Smith's running down the field, number 22, Tony Lilly, is chasing
him. Never in front.
Never in front.
Did you ever think about maybe just setting yourself up at the 1 yard line, Tony, and just let him run to you? At least then maybe attack. Anyway, that was one of mine. I'm going to let you go if you would like to chime in on maybe our Tom Brady ones, because we have a lot.
Well, we'll do Tom Brady as kind of a group. Tom Brady, we kind of figured this out, is 17 points away from either being a 5-0 quarterback in Super Bowls or an 0-5 quarterback in Super Bowls. He's basically one drive, one play away in every single game. 2 of them Vinatieri. You had the catch by Tyree.
Said that really cool.
You had you had the 2 catches, one by Tyree, and you had one by Manningham. And then the 5th one, they won. They won by about 4 points, I think, over the Rams. There wasn't any, or who did they beat?
Well, they beat the Rams, they beat the Eagles, and they beat the Panthers.
The Eagles, I think they beat.
And they beat the Panthers. And the Eagle game, Terrell Owens played a man of the game. He could have been...
With a broken leg.
With a broken leg. He could have been a player of the game, if you ask me. But every time Tom Brady went to the Super Bowl, it was settled by 3 points or maybe 4 and 1. But it's an amazing thing. Every one of them ended pretty much not knowing who was going to win in the last few seconds of the game. Yeah. Tom Brady, when you think about it, Tyree catching it here was a 4th down play. So that's everything. That play is done, and you got a guy that scrambled. I remember watching Richard Seymour had his hands on. I don't know how he got away from that. I don't know how the ball got out. But
it's not like Eli Manning is a big. It's not like he's Ben Roethlisberger. He's not a huge quarterback, but he got away from Richard Seymour, who is a very strong individual.
I almost think he I don't know, he had an itch or something. He just pulled his shoulder. I don't know what it was, but he did it. Threw the ball. Tyree catches it against his helmet. Tyree is such a great receiver. I believe he was gone the next year. That's how great he was.
If you think about it, David Tyree, I think he was cut the next year by the Giants, or he got injured and then he couldn't make the team the next year. But David Tyree, he's got this epic play in his repertoire, but nothing else.
And it is.
But it's legendary.
It's legend, not mediocre either.
Yeah.
Legend. Wait for it. Dairy. But seriously, and Manningham
is there
too.
legendary dairy?
Yeah, but that's sour milk. You don't want to drink that. That's icky.
Oh. Well, that's legendarily bad.
That's legendary. Okay, you got to stop. So anyway, yes, back to the point on task.
I'm just trying to see if I can trip you up.
No, okay, so back to that. Manningham does that, and Tyree does that. Tom Brady would be 5-0 with those, and it's amazing. And I do get tired of people saying after he lost that last Super Bowl, what's his legend? What's his legacy now? It's still pretty damn good, because when you go to a Super Bowl and lose it by 3 or win it by 3. It shows that you got what it takes to be considered one of the greatest of all time. The elite. We're going to have a show on elite quarterbacks, by the way. And it's not going to be like you think. I don't think many are elite.
There are not many elite.
No. Joe Flacco? No. Just saying. Okay, now, I would have to say, and had that happened with those, you're talking about Manning, down there now. He's 0-2 in Super Bowls. I'm pretty sure Coughlin's not there now.
And here's the other funny part about that. If Coughlin and Eli Manning lose that Super Bowl, if David Tyree does not make that catch, does he last through the lull of a season that they had the next season?
Yeah.
Does he last? Because they were calling for his head. But what saved his job was the fact that he was a Super Bowl winning coach.
He was.
If they lose that Super Bowl, is Coughlin even still there to lead the next team to the Super Bowl?
They had a bad year. I don't know.
Because I think they went something like 6-10 the next season. Didn't even make the playoffs.
New York.
They were calling for his head.
And you think about this man. He's been 2 Super Bowl champions. Excuse me. And he's been coach of 2 Super Bowl champions. Same as Parcells, I might add.
Same as Parcells.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying he's done what Parcells has done. Parcells is amazing, but he's done some great things. And you're talking about a guy that Shanahan got 10 years after that. They'll fire this guy after this year if they don't do very well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Another one would be Santonio Holmes with Pittsburgh. Caught that tiptoe in that Super Bowl. Randy and I, we actually came up with about 2 or 3 plays. They didn't happen at the end, but James Harrison catching that thing at halftime, right before halftime, lumbering 99 yards, amazing. But they still had time to recover from that.
They had a lot of time to recover.
Santonio Holmes catching that ball, tiptoeing again. And it wasn't like, these aren't catches that anybody can do. Not your average wide receiver, I don't believe, can do these catches. They are, except Tyree. I just want to point that out.
There's an average wide receiver that made a legendary catch.
That was and I might have just shot myself in the foot with that. But I'm going to say it's hard to do those catches. And he got the ball, got his toes down. And if he doesn't do that, Ben has one. Yeah, Ben would have had 1 Super Bowl. They would have lost 2. But here's the cool part. You got a guy like Warner. Now, Warner, not just bagging groceries, and I'm sure he was really good at that, by the way.
Probably was.
I almost want to say elite.
He probably was an elite grocery bagger.
But I would also like to say that here's a guy that took the Rams. Now, people don't quite get this, but the Rams blew. If they were a vacuum cleaner, they would have blew. They wouldn't have sucked. They would have blew. And considering they were the Rams, they sucked. They were terrible when Vermeil got there. And
they were.
They were. And when
Marshall Faulk, I think, helped turn them around. But you got to remember, they were also looking at using Trent Green instead.
Well, they are.
And for some reason, there were people that were excited that they were going to be playing with Trent Green. It's like, did you watch him play before?
If nothing else,
didn't they get him from Kansas City? or did Kansas City get him after?
And you know what? He's a great poster child for concussions, and he has done that well, I will add. But you've got a guy in Warner who took the Rams, who suck, to a Super Bowl. And I mean, I'm not saying the rest of the team did. They did get better. They got Winstrom on defense. You had DeMarco Farr. You had Holt. You had Falk. Yes, they all got. I said Falk. They all got better. But he did do that. And then he took a team, to me, the worst of NFL franchises, maybe the Cardinals.
One of the just,
and got them within of a Super Bowl. So he could have had 3 Super Bowls.
Well, and this is what we talk about. We say that Tom Brady was 17 points away, but there's a few plays in there that kind of, you got to look at Kurt Warner was literally 3 plays away. 3 plays in 3 different games from being 3-0 or 0-3.
Yep.
You're looking at the pass that Dyson caught.
That's another one of our plays.
That's another one of our plays. Dyson catches this thing, and if he's a foot taller, the Tennessee Titans win the Super Bowl. Steve McNair, Jeff Fisher, Eddie George, they have a Super Bowl ring.
Matthews, offensive lineman, played almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years as an offensive lineman. You're looking at those guys have the ring instead, and that puts Kurt Warner at 0-1 in Super Bowls. So then you have Vinatieri. What if Vinatieri makes the kick? Now he's 0-2, and of course it's Antonio Holmes catch. He's 0-3. But those 3 plays.
Yep.
3 plays. If Antonio Holmes doesn't make the catch, there's a win. If Vinatieri misses the field goal, there's a win.
Right.
Dyson doesn't get stretched into the end zone, there's a win. 3 plays away from being a 3-0 quarterback. 3 plays. That is amazing.
It really is, and it all ties in. Tom Brady too there with the. I think I'm going to say this is our last one, because we try to do these shows quickly, very quickly, because. Before hopefully we catch you, and before you know it, you've watched the whole show. But
oh my God, I just wasted 15 minutes of my life.
It's okay.
That's what we should have called our show, 15 minutes of wasted life.
I like that. It's very clever. I wouldn't have the stigma of the Nazi sign.
I'm just trying to sit there and go, yeah.
So this is the biggest. This to me, and we talked about this a while back, Joe Montana. 49ers, Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, I get a kick out of players who have retired. Once they retired, they are great. They are legendary. They never made mistakes. They never did anything wrong. When you talk about Joe Montana in a Super Bowl, all you ever hear is he did not make a mistake. He was wrong. So let me set it up for you. Montana and the 49ers are going down the field, and they are looking to score a touchdown.
They are trailing.
They are trailing in this game. Sam Weiss is the coach of the Bengals. Anyway, he drops back, throws the ball, and you hear the announcer say, "Intercept!" Oh, he dropped it! Billups, quarterback, I believe, or safety for the Bengals, had it right there. I mean, if it was food, he'd have devoured it. That's bad enough.
It hit him between the numbers. It hit him where every wide receiver wants to be hit.
I'll take that.
Your alarm went off.
You know what? Sometimes I cannot. We are right in the middle of what's the best inning of all time.
This is what my dad always told me. It's like, my dad always yells at the TV when a defensive back misses it. That's why you're a defensive back and not a wide receiver, because you can't catch the ball.
That's right.
Billups, that's why you're a defensive back. You couldn't catch. You couldn't stop the most legendary, mediocre quarterback of all time.
And you know what ticks me off about that is Joe made a mistake.
But nobody calls him on it.
No, never. He threw the ball into the numbers of Billups. Billups drops it. Okay, so what? You're saying what? Who cares, Blue? Well, I'm going to tell you who cares. Randy cares. Yes. Randy don't like Joe Montana, number 1. Number 2, the very next play, Joe Montana, I'm going to call the play for you. Backs up. Joe Montana's in the pocket. It's a safe pocket. It's a good pocket. He lets the ball fly down the field. He's got John Taylor in the end zone for a touchdown. How much time is on the clock, Sam? Coach Weiss says 39 seconds. And I think he even says on the sideline, what do we do in 39 seconds? That's what happened. Our next play to Taylor. They don't ever talk about Billups dropping the ball. Yes, Billups, you dropped the ball. And it was a hell of a Super Bowl. And you talk, and I know you got a point here. That's why I kept talking. You got
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for. That and to protect you from Joe Montana fans.
Now, you're in the swivel chairs, so if somebody comes through, you better...
Anyway, it goes back to Joe Montana did make mistakes. And you know, they'll say, well, these guys never made mistakes in Super Bowls or big games. Bull... Oh, you can't say that word. Damn it. Okay, well, bull, because AFC and NFC championship games are big. And Troy Aikman lost one. Steve Young lost more than his share of one. And I'm here to tell you, Joe Montana lost his share of them. It happens. And you know what? To say the NFC or AFC championship game isn't a big game, well, that's bull. Oh, no. Again. Your turn. Sorry.
Well, you got to think about it. If Billups catches that ball, that goes 7 points the other direction because he's going to take it all the way to the house. He's at full stride when those things hit him. He would have taken it to the house. He would have had an interception on Joe Montana that went for a touchdown. Now I don't know how you would really feel about intercepting the greatest mediocre quarterback of all time and taking it to the house. I mean, I don't know if that's really the biggest thing in your life. But you would at least get to say, I won a Super Bowl with the Cincinnati Bengals against the greatest mediocre quarterback. I'll give you that, the greatest mediocre quarterback of all time.
And you know, when you think about this, well, all I can say is he would not be having to pay for dinner in Cincinnati ever again.
Oh, and Phillips would live like a king.
He really would. And right now, you know what he does? I think he does work with Icky Woods.
Doing Geico commercials now?
Maybe, because it wasn't. I do believe it was that Super Bowl.
It might have been. That might have been at the time of the Icky Shuffle.
It was.
And now he's doing the Icky Shuffle for cold cuts.
They could have done the...
I like that commercial, by the way.
Well, it is. He is. I like Icky.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite running backs. Yeah. See, and he could have had a Super Bowl ring if not for Billups.
And you know what?
Billups, I don't know if you'll ever watch this. I don't know if anybody that knows you'll ever watch this, but I'm just saying.
You screwed up.
If they do, you screwed up big, buddy.
Big.
You probably go to sleep every night knowing it.
Big.
If you've forgotten, if you've got Alzheimer's right now, I'm just going to remind you. Yeah. You screwed up big. You could have taken it to the house
on Joe Montana and given Cincinnati the only bright spot in its life. I mean, except for the TV show WKRP.
Just think how much weight is on that man's shoulders. He basically lost an entire Super Bowl for an entire city that will probably never get back there again. How sad is that for him? Billups, you did that. You might just want to commit suicide right now.
We're not advocating that.
I don't know if you ever really thought about it.
I don't think we can advocate. No, we're not advocating.
Are you kidding? On my other show, I told Pittsburgh Steelers fans to commit suicide. So.
Well, you probably did. Yeah. Well,
I did that when they got up to like that 0-6 start or whatever. I was telling them, go ahead. You might as well just.
Although I would rather see you do it in a nicer way. I think you should just go down by Three Rivers and just eat a bunch of chocolate until you fall in. How about that?
Oh, well, I don't know.
It's very peaceful.
It might be. They could just hold their head underwater until the bubbles stop.
I like that too. Anyway, can you hold your own head underwater? I don't think you can hold
I don't know. I mean, you can put your hand on the back of your head. It could probably be done.
You know what? If you actually succeeded in doing that, you really would be a moron. A person would be a moron. I would have to call you a person a moron, not you.
I wouldn't hold my head underwater until the bubbles stopped. No. I'm pretty sure as soon as it got hard to breathe again, I'd pick my head up out of the water.
There you go. Well, that is show 2 in the can, as I like to call it. Not the show's name. It's NZI, which has got to be one of the better titles I've ever heard of for shows.
NZI was kind of, yeah.
Neutral zone infraction, we think it works anywhere in life. Cheap date, good date, bad date, a TV show. Kind of sounds like
Fender bender,
neutral zone infraction.
It's neutral zone. No, this wasn't an accident. It was a neutral zone infraction. I'll move back 5 yards and you just go on your way.
You just go on your way. That's how we do it.
It's like that way we don't tie up traffic for the next 6 hours while we're trying to get insurance.
So this show is in the can. It is done. I am going to hit stop. How come I always got to hit stop? Oh, by the way,
your camera.
I just want to say the camera ads, I watched one of these, about 75 pounds.
Now that you say that when you're gone.
Well, you're still there.
You should have said that at the end, or the beginning.
I should have, shouldn't I? How do you... Never mind.